And he asked me again, where are your children? And I said, they're right here with me. We're putting the furniture up. And he grabbed my arm and he said, Johanna, grab your children and run. And as we were speaking, the water came up over our ankles.
You're spending 5 minutes with a missionary. This podcast is a window into missionary life. It's fun, it's personal, it's real, and it's always an adventure. You might recognize the voice you just heard. It is Johanna Stinnett, who previously talked about her home in Ethiopia. Shortly after recording the previous episode, a lot happened to the Stinetts, so we asked her to record a follow-up.
We've lived on the Mother Seminary campus, or the Makani Jesus Seminary campus, the entire time that we've lived here, except for a short period in this last year when a flash flood came onto the campus and we lost our home. And it was kind of a difficult time for us in the sense that we were home when the flood came, and in 1 minute the water was to our knees, in the second minute it was to our shoulders, and in the third minute it was above 2 meters, or a little above 2 yards. So when the flood came, we were all just doing normal everyday activities at home, and we had just finished our second day of school. It was on August 17th of 2021, and we could hear a little bit. I was in the kitchen. I could hear some water all of a sudden coming across the yard, and I looked out, and sometimes our backyard would flood, but this one was different. There was almost a wave coming across the backyard, and almost at the same time, I walked out of the kitchen, and I said to the kids, I think the house is going to flood. Let's put the furniture up. And there was a knock at the front door, and the fellow that we employ to help us keep our garden in check and mow the lawn was standing at the door, and in Amharic, he said, Johanna Stinnett, where are your children? And I said, they're all here with me, and we're just putting the furniture up. And I didn't understand yet the gravity of the situation. And he said again, where are your children? And Amharic is not his first language. There's about 83 languages in Ethiopia, and his first language is Oromifa, so sometimes we struggle because obviously Amharic's not my first language either. And he asked me again, where are your children? And I said, they're right here with me. We're putting the furniture up. And he grabbed my arm and he said, Johanna, grab your children and run. And as we were speaking, the water came up over our ankles. And he pulled me to the front, and I could see water pouring over the side. There was a little kind of a barrier wall on a partially empty lot next to us. And I'll be honest, I was stunned for about 20 seconds or so. I felt frozen, and then as the water hit my knees, I thought, we need to get out of here. So the kids, I knocked on Eric's office door. We grabbed the kids, and by the time we were able to get the children out, check quickly, the water was already up to our waists. And the only thing that we were able to take with us from our house, I scooped my laptop off the desk, and fortunately we had our phones in our pockets, and we had our children, and so the Lord spared us. And as we walked next door, we were able to, by the grace of God, help our neighbors to get out of their house. There were 2 houses on our side of the campus that flooded, and they had their children home with them as well. So that was very disruptive in the sense that after that time, we ended up moving 6 times just because we had no plan, obviously, that the house was going to be flooded. So we immediately moved in with another family, friends of ours, for a week as we just sorted out and cleaned the house. On that same day on our campus, 8 other people died on the far side of our campus. 5 of them were children, 3 adults. And the damage was much more substantial on the far side of the campus. So there was a period of mourning, not only for the people who had died and the great losses on that side, because many homes on the bottom side where the faculty live were also lost, but also for a loss of security and peace, and just the home that we come home to every day was no longer there. And it's interesting in missionary life, when you travel back and forth from the United States and to Ethiopia or wherever your home country is as missionaries, you stop thinking about how big things are and you start thinking about how much they weigh, because you have to bring everything across in suitcases. Just the enormity of how long it was going to take us to replace everything was kind of sinking in. And everybody was in a bit of shock, especially the children, about how quickly our circumstances could change. And yet God remained faithful through all that time. The outpouring of love and support from the Makani Seminary, our expatriate friends that live here, friends and family from the States, and our supporters was really astounding. And so we were very thankful for that.
Thanks for spending 5 minutes with a missionary. To learn more about Johanna and the Stinetts, go to lcms.org/Stinnett. You can also sign up for their newsletter using the link in the show notes. You can find this podcast on kfuo.org/missionary podcast or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join the LCMS International Mission community on Facebook or Instagram at LCMS International Mission.